Okay, so like imagine owning a big chunk of OpenAI right now.
Right.
We're talking billions
Yeah.
with a B.
Billions with a B.
That could have been Intel.
It could have been. It really could have.
But they walked away from that deal.
Yeah, $1 billion gamble.
I know.
That, in hindsight, looks like it would have paid off big time.
Big time.
Yeah. It's almost hard to fathom.
It is.
But that's the thing about this deep dive. The OpenAI story is just the tip of the iceberg.
Right.
What we're really looking at is how a company that practically ruled the computer world lost its footing. Like, how do you go from being that big
Right.
to where they are now?
Yeah, that's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
Yeah.
How does a giant like Intel stumble so badly? I mean, where do we even begin?
The numbers paint a pretty stark picture when we start looking at this.
Yeah.
We're talking about a $7 billion loss in their chip manufacturing unit,
Wow.
not billion.
Man.
And then you look at the overall revenue,
Yeah.
and that's dropped 31% in a single year.
Ouch.
Yeah.
That's gonna hurt.
To put that into perspective,
Okay.
imagine your favorite restaurant suddenly serving a third fewer customers.
Yeah.
Not exactly a recipe for success.
No, not at all. And these aren't just like abstract numbers, are they?
Right.
What do they mean for the actual company, the employees, the investors?
So when you look at it from the employee standpoint,
Yeah.
we're talking layoffs.
Mhm.
We're talking somewhere between 15,000 to 17,000 people
Wow.
losing their jobs.
That's a lot of people.
And then there's the dividend situation.
Mhm.
Intel hadn't skipped a dividend payment since 1992,
Oh, wow.
and they just skipped it.
Wow. That's almost unheard of. Especially for a company as big as Intel. It's like missing a mortgage payment when you're used to owning a mansion outright.
Yeah, you're used to having that money, and now it's just gone.
Right.
Big red flag for investors.
Yeah, for sure.
And speaking of investors,
Okay.
Intel's stock is trading at levels not seen since 1982.
82.
1982.
Are you serious?
Imagine investing in them back when shoulder pads and leg warmers were all the rage,
Right.
and you would have been better off just holding onto that stock all these years.
That's insane. It's like their stock took a time machine back to the 80s.
Back to the 80s.
To understand how we got here, we need to rewind a bit, don't we?
Yeah, we definitely need to rewind it a bit. To understand Intel's decline, we need to revisit their era of absolute dominance. Remember those Intel Inside stickers
Oh, yeah.
plastered on every computer?
Everywhere.
That was the Wintel era.
Right. Intel chips and Microsoft Windows. They were the power couple of the PC world back then.
They were the power couple. And that was incredibly profitable.
Yeah.
But this dominance may have also been the seed of their downfall.
Really?
Because they were so focused on their PC market share
Okay.
and those high profit margins that they missed the boat on some pretty significant tech trends.
Like what?
Take the iPhone, for example.
Okay.
Did you know
Yeah.
that Steve Jobs himself
What?
approached Intel
Get out of here.
about making chips for their phones?
Wait, seriously, Steve Jobs went to them personally?
He went to them personally,
Yeah.
and they turned him down.
No.
They turned him down. They were laser focused on those fat profit margins from the PC and server markets.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought,
Yeah.
why bother with these newfangled smartphones? They'll never replace computers.
Oh, the irony.
Oh, the irony.
Little did they know, everyone and their grandma would soon have a smartphone in their pocket, each one needing a chip.
Every single one.
And those weren't Intel chips? Talk about a missed opportunity of epic proportions.
Epic proportions.
Yeah,
They really missed the boat on that one.
they sure did.
Because you see, by focusing solely on high profit margins, they failed to anticipate the sheer volume of the mobile market.
Right.
This wasn't about selling a few million chips.
Yeah.
This was about billions of devices.
Wow.
It was a miscalculation of epic proportions.
Yeah, sounds like it. Wow, talk about a digital dinosaur moment.
Yeah.
It's like they were so busy counting their cash from the PC boom that they didn't even see the smartphone tsunami coming.
Yeah, it's a classic case of a company resting on its laurels. And the mobile market wasn't the only wave they missed. Remember how Intel was all in on data centers?
Yeah, they were betting big on that market.
Right. But while data centers were and still are crucial, the tech world was already pivoting towards something even bigger. AI.
Hold on, I'm sensing a but coming.
You got it. The but is that Intel's chips, while powerful for data centers, weren't designed for the specific demands of AI.
Okay, so explain it to me like I'm not a computer scientist. What's the difference?
Think of it this way. Data centers are like giant libraries, storing and organizing tons of information. Intel's chips were great at managing all that data. But AI is like having a super brain that can make trillions of calculations per second. To learn and solve complex problems, it needs a different kind of processing power. one that's less about brute force and more about speed and efficiency. And Intel's chips, well, they were more like bodybuilders than marathon runners in that race.
So they missed the mobile revolution, and then they missed the AI wave. Were there any tech trends they saw coming?
Well, the new AI was a big deal. They were working on new chips. But they ran into a major roadblock, EUV lithography.
Hold on, back up a second. What in the world is EUV lithography? It sounds like something out of Star Trek.
It kind of is, actually. Think of
Yeah.
it like this. Making a computer chip is like trying to draw incredibly detailed pictures on a grain of rice. EUV lithography is like having this super fine-tipped pen that lets you do that, creating those incredibly tiny and powerful chips everyone wants. Intel was still using the equivalent of a big clunky marker, and guess who mastered the art of the EUV pen?
Let me guess. Not Intel.
You got it. It was a little company you might have heard of, TSMC, the same company that makes chips for your smartphone.
Okay, now that's just painful. It's like they were trying to win a bread baking contest with a toaster oven while someone else built a state-of-the-art bakery from scratch. But it gets worse, doesn't it? Because while all this was happening, their rivals weren't exactly standing still.
Exactly. Remember how we talked about AMD? What's a minor player compared to Intel? Well, they saw an opportunity and took it. They started making more efficient chips, grabbing market share while Intel struggled. In fact, AMD's value has more than doubled in recent years.
Talk about adding insult to injury. So was anyone at Intel trying to steer the ship in the right direction during all of this? It really is the perfect storm, right? Missing out on these key trends, struggling with new technologies, and then these rivals coming out of the woodwork. This is crazy.
Yeah, it's a classic case of, a company gets to the top, and they think that they're going to be at the top forever.
Right?
But the tech world, it doesn't work that way.
No.
So it's really a matter of them becoming complacent
Right.
and also thinking that they could rest on their laurels. And unfortunately, that's what happened.
They finally brought in a new captain, though, right?
Right.
What about Pat Gelsinger,
Yeah.
their current CEO?
So Pat Gelsinger is an Intel veteran.
Okay.
He knows the company inside and out. And he came in swinging. He came in and announced these big, bold plans to get Intel back on track.
Okay, so what's the plan? What's he going to do?
Well, first of all, he's pouring billions of dollars into building new chip manufacturing plants.
Wow.
Not just in the U.S., but in Europe as well. So he's really trying to make a statement here.
Wow, so he's trying to bring production back
Yeah.
to being closer to home?
Closer to home and less reliant on these other countries
Okay.
for manufacturing.
So he's tackling that EUV thing.
Yeah, he's tackling the EUV lithography problem head on, trying to catch up with TSMC.
Good luck, right?
Good luck, right? Because TSMC has a huge lead, and catching up is not going to be easy,
Yeah.
even with all of Intel's resources.
Right.
It's a gamble for sure.
Yeah. So what else is he doing besides the factories?
So on top of building the factories, he's also trying to shake things up internally, making Intel more agile and responsive to the market.
Okay.
And remember how we talked about how that laser focus on certain markets led them astray?
Right.
Well, he's trying to diversify their offerings.
Huh?
So that means they're exploring new markets like AI,
Okay.
automotive chips.
Oh, wow.
They're even becoming what's called a foundry, which means they'll actually manufacture chips that are designed by other companies.
Wow.
It's a big shift in strategy.
It is a big shift. For a company that's used to calling the shots, I mean,
Exactly.
it's a big deal.
It's a huge deal.
So is it working?
So
Is it too early to tell?
that's the million-dollar question.
Right.
And honestly, it's too early to tell. Some analysts are optimistic. They're pointing to Intel's history of innovation, their massive resources,
Yeah.
and Gelsinger's experience as reasons to be cautiously hopeful. But there are plenty of skeptics, too.
Yeah, I bet.
They argue that Intel's been slow to react for too long,
Yeah.
and the tech landscape has simply moved on.
It's brutal out there.
It is absolutely
It's
brutal.
like the Wild West.
It really is.
So it's a cliffhanger.
It's a complete cliffhanger.
Intel's future is still unwritten. But you know what I think the big takeaway here is Intel's story.
Right.
Their struggles, their attempts at a comeback. It's a really powerful reminder, I think, for everybody that no company, no matter how big or successful, can afford to just stand still.
Right.
The world is changing faster than ever. And the only way to survive, the only way to thrive is to adapt.
And to add on to that,
Yeah.
what fascinates me about this story is how much it applies to us
Right.
as individuals.
Totally.
Whether you're an entrepreneur, whether you're a student, or just someone trying to navigate this crazy world, the ability to adapt, to learn new things, to embrace change.
Yeah.
That's the key. That's what's going to set you apart.
Absolutely. It's like that old saying, what got you here won't get you there.
Exactly.
And that is the real deep dive, my friend. Thanks for joining us on this wild ride through the world of tech innovation and the ever-changing landscape.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.